Picture the most ambitious building project of the ancient world. Not a pyramid. Not a colosseum. A building that was an idea. A building that tried to hold every book, every scroll, every recorded thought of every civilization the Greeks could reach. They built it in Alexandria, Egypt, around 300 BC. At its peak it held perhaps 500,000 scrolls. We have lost almost all of them. For 2,000 years, the destruction of the Library of Alexandria has stood as the great symbol of human loss. We picture one terrible night, 500,000 scrolls in flame, civilization plunged into darkness. The truth is more complicated, and in some ways sadder. The library did not die in one night. It died slowly across 3 centuries, killed by fire, neglect, politics, and the deliberate decisions of 3 different empires. This is what we actually know about how the greatest library of the ancient world disappeared. The library was founded by Ptolemy I, a Macedonian general who had served under Alexander the Great. After Alexander's death in 323 BC, his empire fragmented. Ptolemy took Egypt. He moved Alexander's body to the new city of Alexandria, which the Greek conqueror had founded just a decade earlier on the Mediterranean coast. Ptolemy made Alexandria his capital, and he made it intellectual. The library was attached to the Mouseion, a research institution dedicated to the Muses, the Greek goddesses of arts and sciences. It was, in modern terms, the world's first state-funded research university. The Ptolemies pursued a maddening, beautiful obsession. They wanted every scroll. They paid for them. They borrowed them and never returned them. They allegedly searched every ship that docked in the harbor, copying any scrolls aboard and keeping the originals. The librarians sent agents to Athens with massive deposits, requesting to borrow the official copies of the plays of Aeschylus, Sophocles, and Euripides. Athens received the deposit. The library kept the originals and sent back high-quality copies. They never paid the deposit back. By the 3rd century BC, the library held the works of every major Greek author, plus translations of Babylonian, Egyptian, and Hebrew texts. Eratosthenes, the librarian who calculated the circumference of the earth to within 50 miles, worked there. So did Aristarchus of Samos, who proposed that the earth orbits the sun, 1700 years before Copernicus. So did Euclid, whose Elements is still the foundation of geometry. The library was, for 2 centuries, the brain of the ancient world. Now the dying. The first major fire happened in 48 BC. Julius Caesar was caught in a civil war in Alexandria, fighting against the supporters of the young Egyptian king Ptolemy XIII. Trapped in the harbor with his fleet outnumbered, Caesar made a tactical decision. He set fire to the Egyptian ships. The fire spread. According to several ancient sources, including Plutarch and Aulus Gellius, the flames jumped to warehouses on the docks, where some scrolls from the library were stored. Other ancient writers described the main library itself burning. Modern historians believe Caesar's fire destroyed perhaps 40,000 scrolls, possibly part of an annex collection rather than the main collection. The main library survived. But it was wounded. Mark Antony, decades later, gave Cleopatra 200,000 scrolls from the rival library at Pergamon as a gift, partially restoring the collection. The library limped on for 3 more centuries. The second blow came in 273 AD, when the Roman Emperor Aurelian was reconquering Egypt from the Palmyrene queen Zenobia. The fighting devastated the Brucheian district, where the library stood. Buildings burned. Records were lost. Scholars fled. The institution survived but was severely diminished. The third blow was political and religious. In 391 AD, the Christian Emperor Theodosius I issued edicts that closed all pagan temples across the Roman Empire. In Alexandria, the local Archbishop Theophilus led mobs to destroy the Serapeum, a daughter library of Alexandria attached to the Temple of Serapis. The Serapeum had become the main scholarly library after the older buildings were damaged. Christian sources of the time celebrated the destruction. Pagan sources described it as catastrophic. The Serapeum's scrolls were either burned or scattered. The fourth and final blow may have come in 641 AD, when the Arab general Amr ibn al-As conquered Alexandria for the Caliph Umar. According to a much later 13th century account by the historian Bar Hebraeus, the caliph supposedly ordered the burning of the remaining scrolls, reasoning that anything that agreed with the Quran was redundant and anything that disagreed was heretical. Modern historians are skeptical of this story. It appears 6 centuries after the fact.